Hatchbacks consist of just under 50% of the market share. That proves how important the brand new Grand i10 Nios is for Hyundai. Now today, we pit the brand new hatchback against the segment leader Maruti Suzuki Swift. Now both the hatchbacks are priced fairly similar, but the Swift has always been known as a fun-loving driving hatchback, while the Grand i10 Nios is all about being premium, tech-laden and also practical because it is a more spacious car. So today we find out if the Grand i10 Nios' sense and sensibility image prevails, or will the segment leader win the accolades. So we're driving the Hyundai Grand i10 Nios, the Sports variant. Now as you can see, unlike the Asta, the Sports gets an all black interiors, not the dual tone grey one. Now personally I feel the quality and the fit and finish is very good. It is upgraded from the previous generation, but I think it's safe enough to say that it actually is the best in the segment. Apart from that, you can also see that it gets the biggest infotainment system in the segment. Yes, that's right, it's an 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system. This infotainment system also comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so it is the state-of-the-art system available in this car. The Grand i10 Nios also comes with quite an interesting instrument cluster. It gets an analog RPM meter and a digital cluster which reads out your speedometer, fuel gauge, the fuel economy, etc. It has all the readings there. Now coming to the engine, the Grand i10 Nios is powered by a 1.2-litre petrol engine with an identical output of 82 bhp like the Swift. But that's where the similarity finishes, because unlike the Swift, this engine lacks the initial punch. So like when you're driving in start-stop traffic, you're forced to keep changing gears, like you'll be shifting between second and third gear. So if the needle is showing somewhere in between the 1000 to 1500 RPM, well that's where the car struggles and you need to really keep pushing it. But don't get me wrong, for a regular commute, it is very easy to drive, it is extremely linear and the engine is really refined. And Hyundai also claims that the new Grand i10 Nios is a bit more fuel efficient than the previous generation, and it should be as well because it is lighter than the outgoing model. While driving on the highway, that's where the 1.2 liters limitations crop up. Now it does not accelerate quickly, and even if you mesh the accelerator, it just does not pick up speed. And that is very disappointing because it can be quite frustrating, especially when you need to overtake. The mid-range power is where this car is at its best, but if you look at the low and the top-end power, that's where it is flat and it can be quite disappointing. Unlike the previous generation, the Grand i10 Nios has a firmer suspension setup, and this improves the handling capabilities of the car. It's not as firm as the Swift suspension setup, but it takes on corners, but more so, it's the steering wheel of the Hyundai which is more communicative, more responsive. While you take turns, it provides you excellent feedback, and it's also not on the lighter side like the Swift. So on the whole, I think Hyundai got it spot on with the steering of the new Grand i10 Nios. The ride quality of the Grand i10 Nios is also quite impressive, even though the suspension setup is slightly firmer, but it in no ways compromises the ride quality. While going over potholes, the passengers do not feel thud or discomfortness, so that is something which is quite impressive about this car. So we're driving the Maruti Swift VXI variant, and well, the interiors, as you can see, it's all too familiar. The all black cabin, and well, yeah, you can see the plastics could have been slightly better, but again, really no complaints about it. And the flat bottom steering wheel will definitely be a hit. It does look very sporty. All in all, I think the interiors look very sporty and youthful. Now coming to the 82 bhp 1.2 litre petrol engine, it offers enough poke and punch at the initial stage at low end torque. So that makes it easier for commuting at start and stop traffic, and also you don't have to keep shifting gears. So around 1000 to 15,000 RPM, the car offers enough response. The Swift has always been considered as one of the best handlers in its segment, and this third generation Swift is also up to the mark. You can chuck it around and it can take on corners without any problems at all. It'll always give you that sense of confidence, and all this is because of the lighter hard tech platform and also this new suspension setup. Now, as fun as the Swift is to drive, it's not perfect, and that is because of its light steering wheel. Now yes, we know that most of the manufacturers are opting for a lighter steering wheel so that it's a lot more convenient to drive in the city. But the issue with this steering wheel is that when you take corners and when you turn the steering wheel, there's absolutely no feedback. So that can be somewhat unnerving. It's not a deal breaker, but the way the Swift darts around the corners, the sort of feedback the steering wheel could have given would have definitely improved the driving experience. Now when it comes to the ride quality part, well, we all know that the Swift is a handler, so therefore the suspension setup is slightly firm. But when it goes over ditches, it does not really discomfort any passengers, but every now and then you do feel that nudge. And when you encounter deep potholes, my advice is slow down and just ease off the accelerator. After driving these cars back to back, the question arises, which one should you opt for? Well, let's be honest, both these cars are ideal commuting cars. When you're looking for that low-end torque power, well, the Swift comes into play and overshadows the i10. In this comparison, we have the Swift VXI with us and the Grand i10 Nios Sports version. But actually the Sports goes against the ZXI version, and that's where the Sports is a lot more value for money, as it offers projector lamps, it offers rear AC vents, a big 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system, it also offers wireless phone charger, and on top of that, dual-tone alloy wheels.
Maruti's K-Series engine continues to feel as rev-happy as ever, but it's the Nios that trumps the Swift when it comes to driving experience and handling.